Hello, in this video I'm going to be demonstrating the use of the identity fabrication rule, which for some background information allows you to pass in a composite key of values, which then will allow you to create a deterministic way to replace data with realistic looking data. So what I mean by that is we can take a reference column and let's say that we all want to mask first names with another realistic looking first name, but every single time we see the user ID column with a value of 1, we always want to make sure that we replace that specific first name with the corresponding other first name. Just a heads up, this video is going to be specifically around this rule, and if you want any more information about how to create a job or run a job or the configurations, you can go ahead and check out some of the other videos. So jumping right in, we have our IRI library.dcr lib here, and I'm going to show you the table and schema that we're pulling from. So Kevin test and users is where we're going to be having our source data. And then we're writing to a separate Kevin test mask and users table, which is empty. So I'll pull up the original information for you. So as you can see here, we have this user ID column, first name, last name, full name, and an email column. So in this example, we're going to be masking first name, last name, and full name. We are not masking user ID, and we are not masking email. The reason I'm not masking email is just to show you that we are leaving this alone while still keep changing these names, deterministically, of course. So first thing that you have to do is you obviously have to make your data classes, right? So I have 3 data classes up here, a first name data class, full name data class, last name data class, and each one of these just represent the location where we want to match onto the data. So obviously first name is going to match onto this first name, last name is going to match onto this last name, and full name is going to match on this full name. Now, the way that the identity fabrication rule works is you're going to declare a specific return type that you're expecting, right? So if we are wanting to mask this first name column with another realistic looking first name, we would ensure that we're asking for a first name as a return value. So I'll go ahead and show you super quick. So we go into the rules, and I already have all 3 of my rules here, but I'll show you what it looks like. So you click add, and then under deterministic non-reversible, we have identity fabrication. We'll select next, and then here you can see the parameters that we need to pass in. You can ignore this rule expression for now, and then this select the type option. So this option here, again, as I mentioned, is the return value you are expecting to get. So if you want to mask, again, first names with another realistic looking first name, you would want to select the first name return type. If you were instead wanting to mask emails with another realistic looking email, you would click the realistic email address button, right? But for this example, I'll just click last name just to show you. Then for select product, we need to drop down for DarkShield since this is a DarkShield job. And then in the field name option, now we need to tell it what reference field we want to use to keep the determinism. And in this case, it's going to be this user ID column here. And the reason this works is because it essentially acts as a primary key where every single time we see this value here, we know for a fact it's always going to be associated with John Doe or Jane Smith or Michael Brown. So we need to use that as a way to keep the determinism. So here we would type in user ID just like that, and you need to make sure it matches exactly to what this column name is. Then here we would add a seed value. So this can be anything you want, any string. I recommend changing this because this is just the default value. From there you would select finish, and then you would make the other 2 rules or X amount of rules depending on how many different return types you're looking for. So again, I have one for first name, and I'm just going to quickly show you what that looks like, where again, we have this user ID we're referencing and just a basic seed value, but the expected return type is first name because this is the first name rule. Then for the full name rule, it's going to be almost exactly the same, where we're referencing user ID with a seed value of seed, but we expect a full name return. And finally, same exact situation for the last name, user ID as a reference field, seed as a seed value, and then last name as an expected return type, right? So we'll click close. And I already have a DarkShield job made, and I'll just quickly show you. But before I do that, I do want to show you that I do have all the rules already attached to each one of these data classes as well. Here we have our schema name, so we're pulling from Kevin Test, specifically the users table. So again, I had already showed you that, which is this. And then we're writing to the target table of Kevin Test Mask, which is specifically going to write to the users table. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and run the job, wait for the job to finish, and then I could show you. So what I'll do is I'll just do edit for the original values. So these are all the original, and then these are all the masked. All right, so as you can see here, first name with a user ID of 1, so anytime we see user ID 1, we're always going to replace the first name with Kathleen, right? Then the last name, where we see ID 1, will always say the last name is always going to be Gerald. So then when we combine it for the full name, when we see this user ID of 1, we'll get Kathleen Gerald. And again, I intentionally did not touch the email, so that way you can see that everything remains the same if we intentionally did not mask it. So then when we go down the line, you can see that we're always keeping the determinism irregardless of anything else. So again, since they're all the rules are using this user ID, we're able to keep that determinism. And that is a brief example and video showing you how to use the identity fabrication rule.